But what is going on out there, guys? Luke here today, and we need to talk about NIO Stock. After finally gaining traction and getting up over $50 per share, we briefly dipped under $40 per share this week. But that's not all. There is a huge risk lurking that popped up that we need to talk about because it impacts your NIO stock. And you guys know I give you the truth without the hype, so if you're into that, make sure you are subscribed so you get that type of content instead of the NIO to $1,000 tomorrow videos. Seriously, I've seen them, and having been tortured watching them for you guys, I think that deserves a like in my opinion. I mean, seriously, it was bad, but I would do anything for you guys out there, so just remember to hit that like button. Anyways, back on topic here, let's discuss what happened last week that has potentially increased the risk factor with NIO stock. So it was announced that the Chinese government is considering turning private tutoring company firms into non-profit companies, which immediately sent shares of those type companies plunging, which of course makes perfect sense. But it also bled over into stocks like NIO, which is kind of concerning. Then you had guys like Kramer, who just a little while ago was trumpeting how good a company Alibaba was and that you should own as much DD as possible, now flipping and saying you cannot own any Chinese companies because of the government. And then that started the train once again about Chinese stocks being delisted again by the US government. So if this is all the case, we should just sell all of our NIO stock immediately, right? I mean, clearly it's the worst thing ever, and these new risks are just too much for us to handle. Well, hold on. Let's look a little deeper at these points before deciding to do that. The first, China is considering turning private tutoring firms into nonprofit organizations. Can they do that? Well, yeah, they can do that. So let's look at the worst case scenario, and let's say they decide to do it and turn them all into nonprofit organizations tomorrow. So my first question is, what the heck does this have to do with NIO? I mean, last time I checked, they were not in the private tutoring business or education business or anything related to any of that. Are they saying NIO's revenue is going to drop 30% if these companies turn nonprofit? Or are they saying now that tutoring companies are nonprofit, it's going to impact NIO's expansion into Europe because tutoring services are now nonprofit? I mean, in my opinion, even if these tutoring companies are tutoring NIO employees on NIO's dime, that just means it will be cheaper for NIO to pay them to keep the tutoring, which of course helps NIO's bottom line. So I'm kind of struggling to find a correlation to NIO's business here, guys. Can y'all help me out with that? This is nothing new. I mean, seriously, the Chinese government has been doing this for years. China has adjusted, changed, or regulated many business segments in the past, and they're going to do the same in the future. This is not new and not relevant to NIO stock, and the risk for NIO stock has not changed. It's the same risk it was before all this kicked up this week. Yes, there's risk there, but it's the same risk that was there 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago. And the second, well, our guy Kramer. He knew these exact risks when he said buy Chinese stocks. And he knows the risk hasn't changed, but is now saying don't own Chinese stocks for that same risk. He's also the same guy that said Tesla was terrible until it was magically a special company going to the moon. Remember, he is the hot take guy in the finance media space. Understanding that fact will let you know how to interpret what he says and why he says it. Like many in the media today, sports media, political media, any media really, people click on and watch the hot takes. And the hotter and more ridiculous the take, the more clicks, views, and ratings those takes get. I personally hate it, and if you hate it, then we all have to quit watching it. Unfortunately, the facts are Kramer brings views and eyeballs to the product, and the more ridiculous he is, the more people tune in. And this is across the media, guys. I mean, seriously, look at the salaries at ESPN among their personalities. The guys who give the most ridiculous, polarizing takes are the highest paid, and it's not even close. The same thing is true with news media companies and political media, and I feel fairly confident Kramer is one of the highest paid personalities on CNBC. If you're in the media and you want to make more money, just be more ridiculous. So I would say this is more hype and noise than it is an actual thoughtful opinion on Chinese stocks. And I feel fairly certain we will hear him saying buy as much Alibaba as you can in like 2 weeks from now because it's such a deal. And third, all the delisting talk again. This one's easy. This bill was passed last year and it's been beaten to death already. It's not a big threat to any of the large Chinese companies to comply with this. Most of the big companies already meet the requirements and they have 3 years or something like that to completely comply. Bottom line is, I'm not concerned with it and it's not new. So what is my hot take on this latest news related to NIO stock? Well, there's nothing new there. This is why I don't watch TV or the news or a lot of YouTube. And yes, I'm trying to work through all your suggestions from my last video, but there was a ton, so it's gonna take me a little bit. I mean, seriously, you guys suggested like 35 people I've never heard of. Most of it is just noise and garbage to get clicks, and that's why I don't do it. And instead, I always do a full due diligence on every stock I own, and I always use risk mitigation with the stocks that I buy. And I covered the exact risk mitigation strategies I use for Chinese stocks specifically in this video right up here, so I won't drag this video out telling it to you again. Just click on that one and it'll tell you exactly what strategies I use. But develop your risk mitigation strategies that help you sleep at night, have a plan for NIO Stock, and ignore all the noise and just enjoy life instead. And if you don't have a defined plan for all your stocks, or you don't know how to create a plan or value a stock, we can help you with your planning, as there is a course in the Market Insiders private group dedicated to that, along with creating an infinite money loop and other courses available as well, along with live weekly Q&As where you can ask me anything, a great Discord group, tons of exclusive videos, downloads, and more, all for the price of a meal for two at McDonald's. It's like a cheap date that went really well. So check that out. It's the first link in the description. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.